So if there are three types of one is client dependent, another is cross client, another one is client independent or repository changes. Client dependent changes is like if I log into 200 client and do some changes, it will be visible in only in 200 client. I log into 300 client and do some changes, it will be visible only in 300 client. But there are some changes, those are called repository changes. Those changes, if you do any in any client, it will be visible in all other clients. If you do some changes in any one of the client, that will be visible in all other clients. That is, they are called cross client or repository changes. Okay. See, there are before that. Okay. Customizing bench. So there are two. Customizing is something. Okay. Okay. I'll log into the system and so. We want to give an technical term customizing. I think some should be here. Just customizing. Okay, see if you read this, okay, customizing is something which is specific to a particular client. So if you do some changes in that client, they will be visible only in that client. It's not visible in some other client. Okay, VGC, Sandbox or ES1. See, this is something. Don't worry about this. What the business one? I'm just telling. So if you see here, there is something called an option: maintain copy of sales document, display date category of periods. These are something like business related. I go to, if it is finance, I'll go and maintain some settings for banking, accounting, bank accounts. I can. I can do something like I can create the bank details, bank account details. So those kind of things I am creating in 200 client. But these are all like customizing changes, which is visible only in 200 client. It's not visible in 300 client. If I go and do some changes in 300, it's visible only in 300. Those kind of changes are customizing. Workbench is something if I go and change some, they are something called the data structures. We talked about reports, right? We schedule background reports, right? Something this report. If I go and change this source code, so this is a program or a report. In SAP terms, it is a report. If we go and change something, if I go and change some code block here, those would be like they are called workbench request. They are workbench changes. So it will be visible in all clients. If I change it in 200 client, it will be visible in any of the other 300, 400, whatever client is there, it will be visible there. Similarly, if there is something called a table structure. So we saw the table, right? If you see table entries might be client specific. So whichever entries I create in 200 will not be visible in 300, something like that. But there is a structure to the table itself. Structure is we define what are the columns for the table. I think in SQL you would have learned during the SQL training. You have defined what are the columns in that particular table and what is the type, whether it is integer value or character, raw, what is the data type. So we define this is the structure of the
Yes,
table.
yes, yes.
So if we change the structure itself, we are changing some changes to the structure itself. I'm adding a new column. I'm deleting a column. They are all will be like a repository. They will be changing, going to the repository or workbench changes. Means if you change anything on a particular client, it will be visible in all clients. So that is what some more customizing and workbench or repository changes. So in SAP, there are like some changes are client specific, some change customizing changes are client specific. There are some changes that is cross client. Some customizing itself is cross client, meaning very few changes. Like some changes, if you do in 200, will be in 300. But all workbench or repository changes are cross client. You do it in any client, it will be visible in any other client. So applying this, we come here. You can see this something like a modification or repository. If you do changes, you do some custom developments, come new reports, changing to existing program, it will all come under this repository. The customizing, these are like is client specific. When you apply the same concept here, if you take one system, there will be cross client specific changes and cross client changes. Assume you have only one system in the landscape, the first system, there's only one, but you have something, you created something like a separate clients for development, test and production. Okay, so if you take some cross client specific changes, that is okay. You do some changes in development, it's not visible in quality or production. But if you touch any of the repository changes, if you do changes to a program or report, so the production system will be already running and the production transactions will be running. If you do some changes and if it's something it's not proper, it's going to some error, this report is having some syntax error or something, so it will cost like the same thing. Since the repository, the programs are shared, the production also it will be like the system will be halted. The same, you did some changes in the repository, and so the end users who are running the transaction it will be going to a dump, or they'll be facing some error. So that's the reason we go for a at least separate production system. And the best one option is we can have a common system for development and quality and separate production system. But what SAP suggests is to have at least 3 system landscape. One separate development system, one then quality system, production system. Whatever changes we do it in development system only. We will not be doing direct changes to quality or production. So if that is the case, we would do changes only in development. So how do we replicate the changes in quality or production? This is where the transport management system comes into place. SAP transport management, that's called SAP STMS. This SAP transport management system. So whatever changes you do in a development system, so you will be recording the changes to something called a transport. Whatever changes you do, to record the changes for transport request. Then what you do is you take the transport request and apply it in test. Then you do some testing here, like do some just unit testing or something like a user acceptance testing. You do unit test system, run some transaction and see, okay, it's working as accepted. Then you apply the changes to production system. So see, when you do a development, you'll be doing a lot of code changes. You'll be making some entries. So doing the same things manually in a test system, because assume it takes like 3 hours for you to do some modifications to a code. Okay, if we go and do the same thing manually in a test system, it's a waste of time. Also, you tend to make some mistakes. You might do some different thing in development. You might do some different thing in test. So to avoid all this, what do they use? When they do some changes, it will be recorded to a transport request, and you just apply the changes in test or production system. The applying those changes via transport request will take less time. It will, can be done only in 2 minutes or 3 minutes. The changes. So also it ensures whatever changes you've done in development, yes, you do the same thing is done in test and production, so that all three systems are having the same in consistent state. It doesn't like if you do some you enter the value of 3 in development, when you go to test system by mistake you enter 30, then it means that the results will be different. So it should be consistent. So that's the reason where the transport management system comes into picture. So transport management is something to move the changes from development across maybe quality, then to production system. So assume you built 3 systems, okay? Assume you have something low. See, if you see this one is my development system. This ED1, if you see, it is a development system. This EQ1 is my quality system. This EP1 is my production system. But okay, these three are separate systems. Okay, they are separate. So how do you? Okay, before that, let me log into. Let me see how we create a transport request. If you want to make some changes, how do you record it? There is something called. There is a transaction called SE01. Here, what I can do is I'll create. So I'm going to make some changes to this development system. Okay. So what I will do is I'll create a transport. I'll just create a dummy transport request. Here I choose whether it should be a customizing request or a workbench request. So I'm changing a workbench request. So I'm creating something called a workbench request. I'll just telling and test program for training. So I'm creating something. So here I got this so this is called the transport. I created just a dummy transport for me. It's like something I created a container for me to do some changes. So I'll note down this number. This is called the transport request. So I'm just noting down the transport request. Now it doesn't have any data. It's just like I created only a container. Now I go to maybe SE38. Now what I'll do is I want to create a report for me. Z. So I'm creating a request. Okay, now what I'll do is I do some coding, whatever functionality I want, I'm doing some coding or something. Then when I click on save, it'll ask me. Okay, I've saved. I think it didn't ask me automatically. Okay. So I create a report. Then what I'll come and do is I'll come and add that report to this transport request. I'll come. should automatically ask for me. Just I think these settings are like that. I think it has gone and saved, got saved somewhere else.
Would you please
Sorry,
explain?
sorry.
Would you please explain this transport management concept once again?
Okay.
Confusion.
See, assume this is my development system. Okay. So usually there will be for secure, we'll be having at least SAP suggests to have three system landscape. Three system is one development system, test, then a production system. The reason is any changes if you want to do. If you want to make some small customizing changes, or if there is some error in the production system and you want to fix that error, means we will not be fixing directly in the production system. What we'll do is we'll apply the fix in development system, then we will be doing the same fix and quality system and test it there. So everything is working fine. Then only we will apply the fix in a production system. Similarly, if you want to do some upgrades also, you will not directly go and upgrade the production. First, you will upgrade the development system, then you will upgrade the quality system. Because when you do it two times, you will come to know, okay, these are the errors I faced when I'm doing these changes. So when you do it in the production, you will be done the same changes two times. So you will have better confidence and you will have a recording, you will record all the errors you face and what is the solution for it. So when you do it in a production system, it will be like a smooth process. So this is for upgrade. For even for a small changes, see if something in production they are telling, okay, I am running a transaction and it is very slow. So when they tell, okay, then you analyze the program or something, or you take it to SAP. They tell, so this program is running very slow in production system. It's taking long time. Then they check the system and they tell, okay, there is some bug in the code. So we have to bug in the code. So SAP will tell, okay, we will release some modification to the report. So some modification they're providing to the report. So those changes we should not directly apply on a production system, because we don't know what would it would how it would behave. That would might bring two three other problems. Now there is I had only one problem. If I after doing this changes, I get like additional two problems. To avoid this, what we do is we apply whatever changes. Even though the issue is only in production system, we do the changes in development system. Do one round of testing there. Okay, see if that report is working. Then we apply the same changes in quality system, thoroughly test it, okay, this is working as expected or not, then apply the changes in production. For making these changes, I took one example is making some code changes. I go to the some existing code, Okay. So I'm going to this code and like I'm just deleting this block, adding one block. So I'm doing a lot of changes in this program. So the same changes should be done in quality and production as well. Instead of going there and doing the same changes manually, again going to quality, again doing the code changes manually, deleting the block, inserting the block, doing that, what we do is we record the changes. Whatever changes we are doing in development, we will be recording it to something called a transport request. So this is how you create a dummy container. You record the changes in this transport request. Then what you do is you just you can go into quality system and say apply whatever changes there in this transport request, apply it to my system. So what it will do is whatever changes you have done by manual changes, deleting the code block manually and adding the code block, system will do the same changes automatically. It will, whatever changes you did in development will be recorded here. So you're doing these changes, it will be in this transport request. So when you just apply this request, whatever did you manually in development will be done, taken care automatically by the system. Same way in production, whatever changes you this there in this transport request, the system will automatically do the changes for you instead of you going again and opening the change, doing the code changes or anything. Your system will do it. So this saves time. That is one thing. Also, it will make sure the same changes is there in quality of production, because it's human tends to make some error, right? So in development, okay, you did the same correctly, you wrote the code, but when it comes to quality, you might have missed one line, or you added some extra colon or something when you do it manually. So to avoid this, so whatever is it, so we will not do the changes manually in quality and production. We do it in development changes, it will be recorded, and system will apply the changes in quality and production. So this is the concept of transport management. Is it clear, somewhat clear now?
Yes.
So to do that, we create something called a transport request. That you do it in this is like a container. So you make the changes, whatever changes, then you record it in this container. So what automatically uses when I make some changes, I think this system settings is like that, but usually any changes you do, if I'm going to go and edit this report, when I save it, system will automatically prompt create a new transport request, it will say, because you're doing some changes in development system, that should be recorded, it will prompt it. Here I created manually one request, right? Even if I'm not doing it, one way is I can create it beforehand and add the changes to this request, or if I do any changes, the system will say, okay, you are doing some changes, record the changes here. I'll just want to show you how it will pop up. Okay. Okay. So okay, if you see here, it's giving me an error. You're doing something, going to change the time zone. Even though if you're doing it in this client, it's going to affect all our clients. Means these are cross client changes. It's telling yes. Okay. Now I'm changing the time zone to, maybe I'm changing it to IST. Okay. Can I save it? Okay, the IST is not there. I'm just changing it to UTC time. I'm just changing UTC time. See, okay. And when I'm saving it, it will prompt me record these changes in a transport request. Here it will give, this is giving this request because earlier someone has this request is there. I can use the same request, or I can go ahead, I'll create a new request. I'll tell something like basis training time zone changes. I'm saving this, and it will give me a request number. So I'm recording this number. So I'm saving this. Okay, now it has changed. I will change the time zone settings. Now what I do is, if I want to do the same settings in quality, there is no need for me to open this transaction, go ahead and manually change this. What I will do is, I will apply this request. I'll go to quality system. I'll just apply this. Tell to the system. We'll see it, how we apply it. It's different. Maybe what I'll do is, I'll tell, just apply this request for me in quality. Once I apply it, whatever changes I have done it manually, it will be automatic. It will be done through this transport request. The time zone will be changed in quality system as well. Same thing, I'll move the same request to production. So whatever changes I did, the same changes only will move to quality and production. By mistake also, it will not do something a different one. Let me change back this to older one. So now if I again changed it, it didn't prompt me. That is because already I recording these changes in this transport request. So when I do any more changes, it will not ask for any. It will keep on recording into this same request. Okay, now I recorded it into this 203. I go here. Okay, I can go ahead and display this. So I gave some entry, right? Basis time zone changes something. So it will be whatever changes it is there, it will be recorded. You see the table name because whatever changes is doing in a table level. So now I've done all the changes whichever I want to do. I have done these changes. Then what I'll do is I should mark this changes complete. So whatever changes I've done, it is complete. Now this can be moved. So that is called as you have to release the transport request. After all changes are complete, first thing I have to do is I have to release the transport request. It means you are marking the transport, your changes are complete, and you cannot do any more changes. Once you release this, you cannot do any changes to this transport request. I go here, I'll click this lorry button, it will say it will release. Similarly, when I click this lorry button, so it will release it. So what happens is, what happens when I release this request? So this system is separate, quality system is separate, right? So these changes, whichever is the changes I'm done, is now sitting in the development system only. How do I make quality system knows, like what are the changes done? So when I release this, what does this at the operating system level? It will create two files called data file and co-file. When I release a request, release a transport request, it will generate files, two OS files, operating system files. They are data file and co-file. It will be generated under USR SAP sorry. Okay, we go to this. There will be folder called co-files data. I'm going to this co-file. So today I released this to the number ending with 203. So it has generated one file at the OS level. In under co-file, this is same number ending at 203. Now I am under co-file directory. I'll go to similarly to data directory. Similarly, it would have created one file here as well. I think the file is not there, but it will, because okay, it will create, for now it will create two files, one under data file and co-file. It will be created under USR SAP trans data co-file. It will be created under USR SAP trans co-file. So whatever changes you're recording till you release it, it will be in the database level. Once you release it, it will create a file under OS on the operating system. So now what I'll do is, if we see this, it will be recorded under USR SAP trans. Let me log into one development system and show you.
And what those files contain? The things which we have do changes.
Yeah, whatever changes, it will what it will do is it will write to something in a flat file. It will be in a flat file format. You cannot read it. If you open that file, it will be only like a chunk. For us, it will not be meaning much. But SAP, it will write something in its own format. Whatever changes you have done, it will write it. It will be written into a file system OS level. If you see here, USR SAP trans. So okay, so if you see here, this is the file location where it would have written this files. Whatever changes, it will write the files. So how do my quality system know? So what we do is, the same file system will be mounting in quality also. So if you take this, I'm logging into this is development system. I'm logging into the quality system for this.
Prasanna, before releasing this transport request, we have already do all the changes in quality and production system. So what's the need to tell the production system that this file is here and there?
No, we are not doing anything. So far, we have only did modification development system. That's all. That's all we have done. Once we did some modification, we are just now releasing this request. Okay. We have not touched the quality and production so far.
Okay.
We did some modification. It is recorded in this transport request, and we have released it. Okay, and the released, once it is released, it will go and sit in this. The changes will be available in the file system on these two data file and co-file. So if you see this quality system, df minus, which I'm doing, left one is development system and the right one is quality system. See, this is something like a shared location. USR SAP trans, I have shared it. Same thing if you see in quality system, the same share location will be used in quality system also. This entry, if you see, there is some shared location. The same thing will be used in quality also. So when you release the request, whatever changes it is written to the file system level, now the quality system also can see this, can read the same file. So some file got generated, right? Now quality system also can see the OS level file. So when you apply, so once that is done, you go to the quality system. You will just give this. I will just give this number. I want to make the changes. Whatever this number, if I give and I apply the changes, what quality system will do is, it will go and read the this local USR SAP trans on the OS level, and it will find based on the number, it will find out the file which was generated by the OS level file and read the changes whichever is there in the file, and it will start applying the changes to the system. So this is the high level concept, how how we do some changes, release it and apply to quality. Now it will go into the details, like how we do it on the SAP side. Now the system should know, right? So this is my development system, this is my quality system. By any chance, I'll come to so I'm doing some changes here, development system. I released it. Now this changes should be applied in test. Only after it is doing, these changes are applied in test, the system should allow me to import it in production. Because some people, if they want to skip this test system, some people will release the request here and they will go directly and apply it in production system. I don't have time. I don't have time for testing, and I'll go and directly apply it in production. People, people are there, right? We cannot keep on monitoring. Some people do. Okay, I want to leave early for today. I don't want to do any testing. I'll apply the changes directly in production. But that is not the best practice. That should not be allowed. So there should be some kind of checking in place. It should say, okay, I release this request. Only after applying it to my test system, then only I can apply it to the production system. So some kind of we have to define. Okay, once this is done in development, it can be really applied only in test system. Only after doing this, there we go to production system. How we define that is, there is something called it. There is a transaction called STMS. Okay, it's not in development. Okay, so that's how this. I'll paste these two links. I just copied it. Maybe that will be useful. So what I will do is, I will go and define first system. I will first log into the development system. For making any, for defining these transports and all, these are all like one-time setup. You initially say install the system and you define the routes. And these kind of settings can be done only by a basis administrator. Any the other, because these are like critical settings. We shouldn't be allowing anyone else to do it. So it should be, what we do is, these changes can be done only in this 000 client. Okay. I log into the development system, then I will inform the system. I'll go to STMS. So what I'll do is, here I'll go and tell, okay, these are the systems in my landscape. If I take an ECC system, I have one development system, I have one production system, I have like 3 quality systems. Okay, Mach 1, Mach 2, Mach 3. They are quality system. I'll tell, okay, these are a group of systems. For my ECC, I have like 5 systems. This ED1 is development, EQ1, EQ2, and EQ3 are quality systems, and EP1 is production system. Here they have 5 systems because they do thorough testing. They do it in a development system. They test it in EQ1, then they test it in EQ2, they test it in EQ3, then only they'll move to production. So so I define, okay, these are my systems. Then I will tell, I'll STMS, T-code STMS. I'll define the systems first. I'll define the system. I'll tell these are all. I'll tell these systems are belong to this is common transport group. A transport group is something which all systems sharing common transport directory. So if I tell these 5 systems belong to a transport group, it means all these 5 systems should share this common transport directory. This USR to SAP trans. This USR SAP trans. I will mount this same USR SAP trans on all the 5 systems. So it will be sharing the same transport directory. So that's called a transport group. So I'll define these are my 5 systems. Then I'll define a route path, like which if I go, then I'll define a path. How my transport should go. So if you see, this is the transport path. Here it defines, I have a development here, I have quality, then I have production. So how it is when I release any changes in development, it will go and wait in, it will not go and directly apply it. It will go and sit in the queue, the quality system queue. It will be waiting there. So to be imported once I release it. So then when I log into EQ1 and system, I'll tell, okay, apply these changes here, then it will apply to EQ1. Similarly, when I log into EQ2 and I say apply these changes, then it will apply to EQ2. Only after that is applied here, Then what it will do is it will go and sit in the production queue. It will go and sit there in the production queue. It will not get applied. Then what I'll do is I'll go and to production system, log into the system. I'll go and apply the changes. So these things you define it in a STMS. You define it here. You define what are the systems I want to define in my transport group. You define it here. Then you define which path the transport should follow. First, it should go, once it is development released in development, it will go on to the quality. Then after testing, after I apply it in quality, then it will only I can apply to a production. So you define it here. So how I'll show you now how you'll go and apply it here. Now what I do is I release this in development. Then when I go to if I log into, I'm logging into one of the quality systems. I'll go to the same transaction STMS. Then there is something called, if you see the first one, it is called import overview. So what happens is I go to EQ1. So what happens is whenever I release something in development, I made some modifications there and I released it. It will come and sit in this queue. This is called a transport queue, import queue. It will just come and sit in the queue. It will not get applied automatically. It will once I release the changes in development, it will come and sit in my quality queue, and I can see the request number here. So once I say okay, then I decide okay, now this will be visible only in the quality queue. It will not be visible in production queue. Only I can see only in quality queue because I have not made the changes in quality yet. So I come here, I select this request, and I'll tell apply these changes here. This lorry button. If I click this lorry button, import request. What it will do is it will ask okay where you want to apply the request. Once I select okay, immediately I want to apply this request. It will make modifications to the system. It will be applied in this quality system. So once this is done in quality, then this request will go and sit in the production import queue. So now I can import these changes in quality because I imported in quality. I can import it in production now. It will go similarly. I can open the production system, transport the same T code, and now I can see the same number in production. But it means it is just sitting in the queue. It is not applied to the system yet. I have to manually go into the system, select it, then when I click import, then it will make those changes in the production system. So this is the concept of transport management. It's like the reason is we are moving the changes in a controlled manner. Here I simply said I exported, I released it, I came to quality, I imported it, then I released it, I went to production and imported it. But it will in a real scenario, business scenario, it not happen like immediately. What as a business process, what it happens is there will be a developer. He will be testing and making some changes in development. Okay, then the tester will tell, okay, I have made some modifications in development. I release the request. Then there will be set of people for testing, right? So they will go and they will do thorough testing, import it in quality. They will do thorough testing. Then they will sign off something. There is something called a change request is there for this following this process. Then they will submit proof to the business owner. They'll tell okay, I have done these 10 testings. So these are my test results. So everything is working as expected. Then so I'm signing off in quality. Everything is working. So it will go to a change advisory board. So in change advisory board, they will discuss why is it required directly, why this is mandatory, should this change be applied to. They'll decide. They'll give some business specification. So this is mandatory. So I'm facing some issue in production. So I'm going to make these changes. Then change approval board will approve. Okay, go ahead and go import it in production. So it will at least take 2-3 days for testing. They'll do testing for 2-3 days. And for making changes in production also, they will have some call as like a fixed window. They will have something like a non-business hours only. They'll approve it. Okay, maybe after 8 p.m. in the night. Oh, that is also only once per week. after 8 p.m. in the night, okay, you go and you apply these changes in production. Because if even though you do some testing in quality, still it might go and break something. We don't know, right? Because all the testing is done by human, right? So some reason he has ignored one test cases and he have not done some testing properly. So he thinks that it is working fine, but when it goes to production, a real life scenario, it would break something. So to minimize the impact, whatever changes the transport, they will be moving after business hour, they will be doing in production, maybe after 8 o'clock when there is low business. When the even though if it is breaking something, the impact would not be very huge, because in morning from 9 to 6, maybe if the 1,000 users are logged into the system, maybe after 8 only like 10-15% are logged into the system. So instead of affecting all 1,000 users and all affecting their productivity, so in the after, if you move it in the night, okay, and you identify, okay, something is not correct, you have enough time, you have the whole night to apply the fix, so that you are able to apply the fix before tomorrow, the next day morning. So usually this is the whatever transport changes you do, it will be done in a controlled manner. It will be done only like once per week or twice per week. After this, only during this time they'll have some schedule. That schedule differs from customer to customer, but they'll do the changes in a controlled manner in production system. So that is the whole concept of having this transport management. See, I have given only an overview, like what is a transport request, how you move the changes, and all. If you go on, there are a lot of terms in this. Something called what is a transport tool, how it done at the. I told right. It generates a file at the OS level. For that, there will be an exe that will be that is called tp.exe will be there. That will read from the database table and write it to the OS level file system. Similarly, when you import it in a quality system, the same TP, there will be a tp.exe process. It will read that file and it will update the database. Those are all like technical details. That's the reason I gave you this URL link. Here you will find the technical details. What is how it does. So what is a TP? Those things for additional details. That's the reason I've given you this link. Here you can see some additional details. I told you only about two folders, data and co-file. But there will be some additional file folders also under trans, something called a log directory. So what is there in the log directory? So these things you can go and refer this URL. Okay, so far any questions on this? Hello?
No.
Okay, so this is for the concept of transport management. And there's one more topic I think it was left yesterday, ST tools update. So what is this ST tools is? So before that, I'll just give an overview of something. There's a first on the first day I told you, right? There is something called when you go and open the system details. Here you see the system versions, and you see there are a lot of individual components will be there, and this is the release, and this is the support pack level. So periodically, when SAP releases a new, they'll be releasing some new patches. It will be like the next patch will be like 3, then it'll go to 4, 5, 6. So if I feel like I want to apply those changes to my system, so those changes now in olden days, how it was applied is there is a transaction called spam and support spam in SAP. Spam is support pack manager. Now in recently SAP has released additional different tools to apply these support packs and all, but that may be discussed later. But this is a traditional approach there is a recode in SAP called spam support pack manager. Here we go and apply those changes. So if I go to this spam T code, what I'll do is here I can see if I go and see what I'll do, SAP will release okay, they will give this, how they release the SAP releases, they will give something called like a zip file kind of thing. They will give they'll give the files. What we have to do is we have to unzip that files and put it in the OS level. You will be putting it under same USR SAP trans data, the same location where when we make some changes, the OLs that will create some files, right, in the under data directory. Same file SAP. What SAP does is, how they release the files is they would have done the changes in some system, and they would have recorded it something similar to a transport, and they would have generated a OS level file that is called. Then they will give that OS level file to us. So we copy that OS level file here to this this data file location. So once I copy this, I'll come to this support pack, and here if I choose if I choose import all support packages, here I could see whatever there is in the system currently. What are the support specs available in the system? It will show for all components, all versions. It will show. So these are there already in my system. Just give 1 or 2 minutes to load. Okay, it will still. I'll just open it parallelly. This is I open ED1000, right? Okay. See, I'm taking an example of this SAP underscore basis. The first one I'm taking example. Sorry, this is a sorry, I'm checking in a different system. So this is ED1 system, right? I'm opening a new session here. Okay, system status. Okay. So if you see here, I'm taking example of SAP basis alone. You see here, my currently, this is my system is under this version. Okay. Sorry. How do we? Okay. If you refer this, my system is under release 753 support pack level 2. Here you could see the same thing you could see in the left screen, 753 support pack level 2. So before that, these many packages have been applied to the system. So now, since this is the latest, it will show only the latest release. It will not show the what are the previous releases. It means if you are in 753 release means the older releases are already there in the system. So you currently you are in 753 0 support pack 2. So that is the last entry will be there. Currently this is there in the system. So these things for basis, what was there applied before that 753.01, 740 version, before that 731 version was there. So these are all there in the system. So it will show whatever there in the system. You can see it in this T code. So if SAP has given something, they released a new version and they given us a file. So once that is done, when I go and select this new support packages, and it will show, I don't think nothing will show here because I have not copied any files. Okay, but when I copy the files, there is already some file. This is for a different version, but see, it will show something like a file like this. So this is now available to be imported in the system. So now what I'll do is I'll go and apply the changes to my system. Means I will apply the support pack to my system. So this is what the support pack spam T code does. It is for applying new updates to the system support packs. There is another code, T code, similar T code called Saint. Saint is add-on. It's an add-on. See, this system, when I install this ECC system, it would come with some default functionalities. Okay, by default, apart from this functionality, SAP SAP they release something called an add-on. What add-on does? It's some new functionality which is not by default released within the system. As I told, SAP system is it is released. There is for Ashok Leyland they don't release a separate system. For Tata they don't release a separate system. For for Vodafone they don't release a separate SAP versions. They release everyone separate versions. But for based on the industries, maybe if it's a automobile industry, maybe if it's a finance industry, there will be some components, some extra components, specific components, some need. Maybe if it's a defense industry, if it's a defense manufacturer, there will be some functionalities that would be required only by for the defense. Not all defense companies require that. So what they do is they'll release this kind of small add-ons. They are called these functionalities specific to that functionality. Something called add-on. SAP will release. So if you think, okay, I want this add-on, so this will give some add-on to value add to my business. If I release this add-on, I'm getting some additional functionalities. So what is add-on is those things will be installed. There is a transaction called Saint. Here I will install those kind of add-ons here to my system. I'll tell one example add-on is there is something called SAP GRC. SAP GRC or I'll take this example. These two are add-on, STPI and STAPI. Okay, what this add-on does is, if I want to monitor all my SAP systems using a common SAP Solution Manager system. On the first day I told SAP Solution Manager is used for monitoring purpose. It does the monitoring of other SAP systems. So if I think, okay, I want to monitor this system by a Solution Manager system. So that Solution Manager system has to interact with this system, right? For this, these two are like monitoring packages released by SAP. SAP released this STPI, STAPI patches. I'll tell this STPI, STAPI. These are they are called solutioning tools. Required for. So what I'll do is, okay, I want to monitor this system by Solution Manager. Then I'll tell, okay, I will import these two add-ons to this system. Okay, then I'll go similar to spam. SAP will provide files, OS level files for this. I'll copy the files to the OS level. I'll come to this T code and I will tell, okay, then it will be displayed. I can go ahead and install this add-on. I'll choose this add-on. Then I'll click, when I click on start, it will start up, it will apply it to the system, that add-on. So that is the, what this Saint does. Spam is something that is already there in the system. That component is already there in the system and you're just increasing the version of that. Then you will use the spam T code. Saint is something which is not, that add-on is not there in the system. That functionality is not there in the system. I want to import that functionality to my system. Then you'll use this Saint T code. You will import that new add-on and you'll see that there. This STPA, STAPA is an example add-on which is used for Solution Manager monitoring. Okay. This is one example add-on. There are a lot of add-ons, like thousands and thousands of add-ons SAP release, but this is a very common add-on which we use for monitoring the Solution Manager system. So what we do is we go and import it in the Saint transaction. So far, any questions?
No.
Hello.
Hello.
Yeah. Yes. For any questions?
No question now.